Cool. Right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the FanFaction. Today we're going to be talking California from 1993. Nice
California.
little chunk there, Dil.
Yeah.
So before we start, we'll just do a small little synopsis here. So a journalist duo goes on a tour of serial killer murder sites with two companions, unaware that one of them is a serial killer himself. So, Dil, this was your pick, so why don't you kick it off? What did you think of California?
Um, so here's the thing, right? Uh, it was. I'm just going to come out right and say I picked the worst movie we've done so far. Um,
Ooh,
like, yeah,
okay.
I like, yeah. So, um, I'm trying to. How do I express this? Brad Pitt was kind of okay as the serial killer.
Hmm.
Kind of like that vibe that like he's it's very very 90s, the idea of him being a serial killer, okay, which I'm not necessarily that's not what I find to be the bad thing, because we've been watching all the old cartoons like Mask and The Real Ghostbusters all morning. So um David Duchovny didn't want to be in this movie,
He is
and he
so
is
bad.
awful in this
Shocking.
movie. There's no chemistry between him and his missus, and it's like but like the way he delivers lines, because we all know the
Yeah.
way he acts, because we all watch the X-Files and all this type of jazz, and you're like, oh yeah, he's the killer. Well, what are we gonna do?
That was a
It's just
pretty good impression.
It was very good.
it's because it was all because it's partially billed as a comedy, and you're like,
Really
what? Yeah.
strange.
And you're like, at what
You,
point is this meant to be funny? Like, you've got like probably one of the biggest actors of the 90s in there, two of the biggest actors of the 90s, realistically. You got Brad Pitt and you got David Duchovny, one covering
mm,
film, one covering television. And Duchovny really didn't give a shit.
he
He
is.
must
He
have
is
been paid
either that.
before like he was prepaid,
Yeah.
so he didn't have to give a shit.
Either that, or he has zero range. Like there were scenes in this where like you're supposed to be shocked, and like it's just stony face. Like there's nothing going on. Like it's like he's I don't know. It's like he's a zombie walking around the movie sometimes.
It made me question, was he always this bad? And I just never realized it. It made
No,
me
because
question, is
he's
shit
not
actor.
though. He's great
I
in
I
X-Files. He's
He's
great in
very similar
Evolution.
in
Evolution is a great movie.
the
I
X-Files.
do like Evolution.
He plays a very dry character. He plays similar to a character that he is in California. He doesn't show a lot of emotion, you know? But
Mhm.
Jesus, in this, it was just maybe I can, because he started doing the X-Files the year before, so maybe he was filming at the same time, you know? So he's just like, I've got my new show. I don't really give a shit about this movie anymore, you know?
Yeah, but like, yeah, like wow. It was just because again, the reason I picked it was that like I've always seen the poster, and naturally it came out around the same time as Nat Killer, so I'm like, oh, God, Juliette Lewis really, she really had a niche.
Weird.
Yeah, do you know? Um, I don't necessarily mind her character in this. Is it great? No. Um, Brad Pitt is entertaining as a hick serial killer to a
Mm.
point. Um, but again, I've never seen this movie. It's one of those that's always been crept around. I'm like, I regret that. I there's a reason I haven't watched it. Um, I really did not like this movie in any way, shape, or form.
I don't
There,
think
it was
it wasn't
Because
that.
I'm actually opposite to you, Jill. I actually really like this movie.
really.
I thought it was all
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I didn't think it was
I,
great, but I thought it was all right, you know?
I like I don't get me wrong, it's not a five-star movie, but I really enjoyed it. I get what you mean about it feeling like a very 90s movie, and I actually have
Mm.
written down here the opening scene just gave me Crow vibes.
Oh yeah.
Do you know? Just I don't know, it was probably just all the rain and the kind of like industrial feel of it, the setting. But I just thought the Crow. But I think Juliette Lewis in this was phenomenal.
You mean to
Um, and I thought Brad Pitt. I probably thought this was probably maybe his because I'm not a huge Brad Pitt fan acting wise. I think this is probably his best performance except for Assassination of Jesse James. I don't think he's been better.
He's been very good. Like I forgot he was Brad Pitt a few times because a lot of times when you're watching Brad Pitt, you're like, oh, yeah.
Oh, Brad Pitt. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
this, I
yeah,
was completely lost that it was him. I was like, Jesus, he's pretty good,
yeah.
you know, compared
Yeah,
to
well,
his.
that's it as well because I mean, you got to think of it. He was a sex symbol, and he's managed to actually like kind of put in this really at times creepy performance, do you know? And I think he went quite method with it as well. I was reading on IMDb earlier that apparently, do you know the way he has like a chipped tooth
Hmm.
in the movie? He went to a dentist to get that chipped. Do you
Oh, he
know?
went
So
full
like,
Shia LaBeouf.
yeah. And you know, like I think as well, he put these little like ticks into the character. Like I'm not sure if they were in the script, but you know the way he does that, do
Yeah.
you know thing? He keeps doing that. Do you know? I'm like, oh, was that part of like just one of his ideas that he just give like the character this weird tick kind of thing? Um, but I thought he was very good. I think the performances were really good. I liked I'd never seen her in anything before, but Michelle Forbes, who plays the girlfriend, I thought she was very good as well.
I
I think
thought she
I
was
David
think she
Duchovny
was
was
good.
awful.
I
yeah.
think the problem with this whole movie is David Duchovny, and
Yeah,
he
I would
ruins
agree.
every scene he's in. Like I didn't
Yeah,
mind Juliette Lewis in it. I thought she was very good, but I think she's good in everything that she does. Really,
yeah,
Excellent.
like
Yeah.
I've always been entertained by her movies. Brad Pitt, to an extent, I've always been entertained by pretty much most of his movies.
hmm
Was he a good Hick serial killer? Yeah, I do. I do. I think that.
yeah.
Do I particularly feel connected to all the reasons he was doing it? No, because he was just a serial killer for serial killer's sake.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and it was like Boomhauer with a beer and a blade.
yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but and then David Duchovny walking, oh yeah, so he's the killer. Well, what are we gonna do? Um, I should
There were
report
so
this.
many red flags and it's not
I
just the
know.
acting. Like his character was just like, it's like, what are you doing? Like he's clearly psychotic, and he's just like, yeah, okay, you know.
Is this about me
Like the
shooting the
girlfriend,
gun?
like the girlfriend is the voice of reason. She's trying to like get them the hell away from this guy. Like I thought the most interesting parts of the movie was Juliette Lewis's character. Like I thought that was really like towards the end when you figure out that like her whole gauge of how bad a person is based off the fact that like Brad Pitt doesn't rape her, so he's not a bad person. He can beat her and he can
Mm,
do all this stuff. But her past experiences have completely ruined her gauge for good and bad. And then I really liked her character development with Perry. Like them kind of becoming friends, even though it's a really, really unlikely friendship.
mm.
Like I thought all that was really, really good. Um, but Ben, what did you think? Because you haven't really weighed in yet.
I thought it was pretty good. Like it's definitely not a 5-star movie, but it's. I think I came away from thinking, geez, I haven't seen Julia Lewis and anything in a long time, and she was very, very good in it. It did remind me of her performance in Natural Born Killers, that sort of
Yeah.
crazy side chick vibes, but her range of motion is brilliant, and the whole I've really believed her character's sort of story. I thought Brad
Mhm.
Pitt was amazing. I just don't know what happened to Brad Pitt. Like literally, what 14 years later, did that terrible accent in Inglourious Bastards. Remember when that
Oh,
first came out?
yeah,
It was like
awful.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Um,
And I want my scalps.
yeah,
It's just
literally the same
terrible.
accent. Like what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. And for
Um,
some reason in this, it didn't bother me. Like I actually thought, like, yeah, it was a bit.
it was a lot
It
better
was.
in this,
Yeah, it was better.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Still
and
a bit hammed up, but
the story was kind of shit. Like your man's going cross country, he needs fuel money, so he puts out an ad on Craigslist or whatever, like these random people. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is kind of thrown together. And then they're
yeah.
stopping these places, taking photos of um what murder scenes or whatever, or
Yeah.
where killings have happened. I just thought
Mhm.
it was a bit odd. Didn't really enjoy
Yeah.
it. There was no real end point, like oh they're going somewhere and they have to get there or whatever. It was just kind of like we're just driving and we'll eventually get somewhere. Um,
Mhm.
but
Well, I suppose weren't they trying to get to she really wanted to go to California, or was that
yeah,
him?
yeah, but like, do you know the
There
way
was both.
kind of
They matched up that they're going the same pair. I just kept
building to
watching
a
this going,
destination is what I'm saying. Like there was
I need
no,
to
Yeah.
apologize.
it was Yeah, but overall, yeah, the cacophony was shockingly bad. Like he literally shat all over the scene and every scene he was in, you know, and that sex scene as well in the motel, so unwarranted. It's like,
So weird.
out of nowhere, I was like, what the fuck is going on? You know?
And
And
he wouldn't even engage in it. You're like, look, I understand. I've watched enough interviews with actors where they're like, that whole thing is hard, non-figuratively. And but like, talk about not giving a shit.
Yeah,
But the whole time
that's right up
I was
there with the worst, some of the worst performances I've ever seen. That's
like,
right up there.
yeah, like even like the room had more enthusiasm to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the whole time I was watching it, I just kept kind of going, I'm going to need to apologize for this choice.
oh,
No, no, genuinely, like I know, like obviously you think it was the worst pick, but no, like for me, this wasn't a bad movie. I really like. I'd go back and watch that again. Um, I did really like it.
it had enough to keep me entertained for the time it was on. You know, I wasn't like, oh, this is ridiculous. Just turn it off. You know, it was
Yeah,
it was good. I was kind of laughing at the Cockney's bits because it was so bad. You know, I was like, ah, this is just
yeah.
hilarious.
I
Uh,
just love how it builds up like his tolerance level for what Early is doing all the time. Like isn't like the first, he's like the bar fight scene,
yeah.
and you're like, okay, he's a bit unhinged. And then there's the fact that he has a gun, and then there's the girlfriend admitting that like he whips her, and then what the hell else happens? Then something else happens, and I'm just like, he's just completely. I don't know if he's like oblivious to it or he just finds him so fascinating. Like, I mean, you can kind of get that his whole thing for traveling across country is to go and visit these murder scenes. So he's obviously fascinated by the idea of serial killers and people who are a little bit psychotic. But I don't know. It just seems so weird that you'd have your significant other along with you and you wouldn't be afraid of what might happen to her.
Hmm.
Do you know? Like, I don't get his. I don't know. The character just came off as a bit odd
And
himself.
her book about sex photos was like there was no need. I just thought it was a bit like
Yeah.
90s.
Gratuitous.
It's very 90s to have like, oh, we'll put sex in everything, you know, really sex it up.
Yeah.
But
Everyone knew a photographer in the 90s who was a sex photographer. It's like, sure, fuck it.
It
Like,
was the fad
it
back
was
then.
taught in schools.
the way it's similar to Seven, where the villain is kind of trying to get the detective in Seven to commit the ultimate act of murder at the end.
Yeah.
Kind of like similar in this, where Brad Pitt he's not really actively trying to get David the Duchovny to kill him, but that's the end result. It's like he's so fascinated with murder, he ends up murdering somebody. So he knows
Yeah.
exactly what it's like for his book. I mean, it is kind of a good idea. It could have been executed a lot better, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
Mm.
It's a very brutal film at times. Like that bathroom scene is grim.
I was
Jesus.
thinking there. You got right. Starts wiping his hands on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
It
that
is,
was
but it's like it's not enough. Do you know what I mean? Where and then like, oh, David Duchovny needs to use the bathroom. He's like, oh, doesn't flush. Oh, we'll leave it so. We won't worry about it. As there's just fucking blood everywhere.
yeah. Yeah,
Like
no,
the
it's
floor. Like they broke a fucking like a cistern. Like, there's just blood everywhere. And like doesn't flush, mate. Oh yeah.
I love that he manages to come out of that without a spot of blood on him.
That's a very
Like
good point.
he was proper like going for it. Do you know, it's like how does he have like it just magically got all on his hands but didn't touch anything else? Do you know? Especially like you said, like there's water everywhere, the blood's washing like all over
Like
the
he's not even
place.
wet. There's water everywhere.
He used a
Yeah,
He's not even wet.
continuity error.
Do you
How
know what I
long
mean?
was he
Oh,
in there? Yeah.
This is the thing. Like, how many times did he fucking stab me? Like realistically, he was in there for about half an hour,
yeah,
and no one thought in between that. I won't wait until he comes out of the massive gas station bathroom where there's more than one fucking urinal or stall. I'll wait until he comes out.
yeah,
It's a
Do you know what
pretty
I mean?
busy gas station as well. Like surely some other fellow that was driving by was randomly going to walk in. You know, he didn't even lock the door or anything. Anybody could have walked in.
yeah,
But I did enjoy the where he was spotted on the TV in the inside the gas station. I don't know if it's a
yeah.
different And then he sort of gets the gun and he just all hell breaks loose. I thought that was pretty cool. Juliette Lewis
Yeah.
freaking out that he's gonna shoot your man and all. I thought, oh. No, she didn't believe that he shot him.
Yeah.
Remember, he's outside.
It's only the penny only drops with her when they're out in the desert and he shoots the cop and you actually see her have like a full on breakdown.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I was very sad when
Yeah.
she died. Yeah, it's very sad when she died.
It was her story is really, really sad.
She was a very good character in it. It did kind of feel a little bit of Mice and Men at times. If you're getting that reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Larry. Or was it Larry?
Yeah.
That's the name of the character?
Yeah. But I think she's very good. But see, the thing is, she's very good at portraying emotion in that way. So it's very, very expressive base level emotion. So you get the message. And she's very good at making you feel what she is meant to be feeling in that scene. That's kind of the power of her as an actress, really, I feel.
She portrays innocence very well. She's very innocent, you know. Even when she cuts.
And that's it, like,
yeah.
You have that preconceived notion of them because she's with Early, and you know she's what, just white trash, and she's, you know, it's good because you look at, she is the most sympathetic character I think out of all of them. Like, they've all got their problems, but she's really an innocent. You know, like, she's obviously not all there either, and she's, you know, she's very troubled because of her past. Really, really compelling character. I really liked her, and actually I haven't seen her in a lot of stuff. I saw Natural Born Killers a long time ago, so I can't really remember it. I don't think I liked it that much, but I was surprised. I didn't think she was that good an actress, and she blew me away in this.
Go back.
Well, that's a very hard film to like.
I really liked it, and I don't know
It
why.
it is a good film, but it's very, you can see why it was banned for a while.
Was that written by Tarantino, or did Tarantino have something to do with that?
That I can't remember. I think maybe he had something to do with the editing of it, but it was a pure Oliver Stone, like, ayahuasca dream.
Okay.
Really. So, like, but you can see, so if you watch Natural Born Killers and House of a Thousand Corpses side by side.
Very similar.
Very similar.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like color palette and things like that, and certain like isolated shots. Now obviously Natural Born Killers, it feels very 90s because it's 1994, but you can kind of go, okay, I can kind of get it. And in some ways that makes Natural Born Killers even better, because that's a movie I haven't watched in a long time, but it is, I think I would put it up there as a very good movie.
I think
I have it on DVD somewhere. I must rewatch it, I think.
Yeah, I do. Robert Downey Jr. character in it is very, very funny. Very good.
Oh, cool. I didn't even know he was in
it. He plays
was this during his, like, when he was mental back in the back in the 90s?
Because it's 94, 93, 94.
Yeah, it might have been right in the middle of it, or even before it. I don't know. He's very good in it though. Yeah. But other than that, your man also directed Swordfish from 2001, who directed California.
I like Swordfish. It's a good movie.
Is that the Halle Berry movie?
Yeah, Halle Berry, and is it Hugh Jackman as well?
I remember maybe thinking about watching it, but I don't recall the movie.
I remember Hugh Jackman getting fellatioed at a table with a gun pointed at his
head. Yeah. I think John Travolta is the villain in that, I think.
Who?
I think John Travolta is the villain in that.
I think he is. Yeah, I think
I remember that scene, yeah. No, that's a good movie. That's another one actually that I must rewatch. Anything else that you guys wanted to kind of talk about?
No.
I think that was it. Like, Juliette Lewis' character, I think, was really, really good. Brad Pitt was a believable serial killer. He was just too hick.
But you didn't think it was a good performance from Brad Pitt? You wouldn't put it up there with some of his other roles, or?
No, I think it was good, but I wouldn't put it up there because, like, that, it felt like Boomhauer with a knife.
I get that.
To a point where he's like, hey, I'm going, hey, man, we're going.
It was a bit hammed up, a bit. I did like it, but in terms of, like, just say you had the scale of 1 to 10, he went to about 11 on the ham scale a bit, just a bit over, too cooked,
This one goes to 11.
David Duchovny could have done with hamming his role up a bit.
Jesus, he could have just at least brought a ham to set or something, you know?
I brought a sandwich. So the score wise for me, it's actually it's a 1.5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
walked away. I was really intrigued to start again. I really like Juliette Lewis.
Yeah.
But overall, I felt apologetic for picking this movie throughout.
You're too
while
hard on
watching.
yourself, Dale. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Big time. I enjoyed it. Like I give it a 4.
I'm going to give
Like
it
even with Duchovny's like
The comedy is the reason it's
he's like wet paper on the whole thing.
I
man.
know.
He
I know.
just
The
sucks
good thing
everything else.
is that it's not he doesn't have to carry the movie, which is the saving grace of the movie is that it's an ensemble cast and
True, but
everything
he's
else
in
is
every
great.
fucking scene.
I know.
It
I
did.
know.
It did bomb. The budget was 8.5 million, box office 2.4. So it lost about
It's
6 million. 6 million.
this strikes me as it has the feel of a very like a cult movie. Like I say, it has a really, really strong following, people who love it. I was really surprised because I had never even when you say California, I had no idea what this film was still, which is really surprising because like you said, Duchovny would have been very big in the 90s. Brad Pitt, star. How have I never heard of this movie before?
But
But no,
again,
it's
early 90s for Brad Pitt was like this is when he was still on the up and coming. Now this is
Yeah.
like pre-Interview with a Vampire, I think.
Yeah, because Interview with Vampires in '94, I think this would have been the same time he had that small cameo in True Romance. I think True Romance was '93. I'm trying to think of what else would have been out around then. Legends of the Fall, maybe that would have been
Yeah.
after this.
Legends of the
Yeah,
Fall.
90, 94,
95.
95, 95,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, Ben, did you give a score for
I'm going to give it a 3.
3?
I'll take 1 point off for Duchovny's performance and 1 point off for the story that was kind of weak, you know? But I think 3 I'd recommend. Like somebody asked, should I watch it? Be like, yeah, give it a watch. It's grand. It's pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not good, but it's entertaining enough, you know?
Just pick better next time, Bill, okay?
I promise. I've got a few options. I just need to see if they're available to make up for it.
California 2. Is there a sequel?
Duchovny is not in the sequel.
Jeez, no,
It's all about Duchovny. He becomes the uninterested serial killer.
It's funny because I
have
remember
I have to do it because I'm compelled.
God, his dialogue, man.
It's just so fucking bad.
I'm not convinced now he's actually a good actor. I'll have to go back and see.
I was going to say the same.
No, he's a serviceable actor. Never said he was a good actor.
Yeah.
He like X-Files, great.
Does he have to do much like emotional stuff in X-Files?
No.
See, that's the thing. Do you know if he's actually a good actor or not?
In X-Files, he does like progressively does paranoia because Mulder leaves the show because he's convinced that like the aliens take him.
Yeah.
So when he comes back, like obviously he's proven right. So he does like that kind of paranoid thing very well.
He does, and he can show a bit of emotion in terms of like pleading for like, come on, Scully, please. It's that kind of sort of emotion. I'd say he's good, but I wouldn't say he's great at all in anything I've seen him in. And it's like this whole revelation about Justin Timberlake coming out. Like, was he actually ever good or even a good person? You sort of go back and watch his music videos, like, yeah, he's a little bit shit, actually, you know? So it's probably like this whole David Duchovny thing's kind of like that. Everyone's going to realize like he's actually a pretty terrible actor, you know?
You have a bone to pick with Justin Timberlake?
Oh, he's a piece of shit, man. He's an awful person.
I've heard.
His wife's crazy as well.
The recent DUI he had, and then he got out. He got bailed out and went to the gig.
Did you see him at the gig?
Yeah, like he's fucking.
Oh my God!
Out of his face.
Out of it. Yeah.
He's
obviously.
Jessica Biel, massive anti-vaxxer as well. So
is she?
Say that rubs us. Say hanging around with that would drive you to drink. You know, it's just like I
big
can't
time.
Anymore. He released a country album, not country album, like it was like a bluegrass infused country album about 3 or 4 years ago called Man of the Woods. It's Justin Timberlake wearing flannel jeans and boots. and it's just I've heard songs.
I just bought some new
Fucking
jeans in
terrible.
the Levi's store, so I'm all about that.
I'll have no flannel slander here.
I like flannel, but on him, it's completely disingenuous. You know, it reminds
Yeah.
me of that story of John Bon Jovi going into a beautician in 1994, going, "I want to look like Nirvana." You know, it's that kind of genuineness. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. Anyway,
Did you give a score, Shay?
Yeah, sorry, I gave 4.
Oh.
Yeah.
so you
So
gave
that, yeah.
Stalker 3 and this a 4.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, Shane.
It's just like you want to reconsider me.
One of the reasons, yeah.
You're making
What
me.
am I
You're
doing?
making me drink for you.
Yeah. No, in fairness, I do like, yeah. Stalker, I think if you guys read the book, I think your Stalker score would be a lot lower.
Okay.
Take those movies.
The book is excellent. It's really, really good, and I've read a few of the books from those authors, the two brothers, and they're really good.
Is it a Russian book?
Yeah, so it's the Strugatsky brothers. It's called Roadside Picnic. And actually, it's funny, Dill, you said the director did Solaris, and actually Solaris is a book as well. So I'd be interested to see if he changed a lot for that as well. Yeah, it's Stanislaw Lem is the author of Solaris.
Because the original Solaris Joe, I think it's too long to do on this podcast on this show. So
Yeah.
I think is actually a wonderful philosophical film.
Okay. I have heard of it, and I've heard good things.
And I think the George Clooney version was pointless.
Oh, I thought it was called the same thing. I didn't realize it was actually a remake.
It's a remake, but it's pointless. It matches the beats kind of shot for shot. It's one of those like shot for shot kind of remake things. But Solaris just packs a bit more weight.
Yeah.
And the main reason being is because it's casting like actors who aren't heartthrobby looking. It's casted like it's normal, grizzled looking actors. I think again, to refer back to that previous episode, it's that again for this episode, one of the problems with it is everyone's a little bit too good looking.
You know, exactly. That would have made would have made Solaris better is David Duchovny. Just stick him in there, you know.
Just kind of going
elevated the movie.
Like in all these moments where there's no dialogue, just looking like
David Duchovny is Monkey.
Paper. You know? But it is like again in this film, again, I think saying again a lot, but Brad Pitt is good. He is one of those actors who I am entertained by. In fact, I actually really like Meeting Joe Black.
I've never seen that movie.
I haven't seen it.
It's a remake of Death Takes a Holiday. It's long. It's only 3 hours long, but I actually like it as a movie. I think Brad Pitt is very good in it in terms of for what it is. But he's in the early 90s. He was too pretty.
His
I get that.
His breakout role was Thelma and Louise in 1998.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I haven't
seen that either.
And I can't remember a minute.
He's not in it very long.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he is.
I think like he always picks. He's very good at the movies that he picks. I don't think he's an extraordinary actor, but I think he does have a few roles where he's been very, very good. Like I still think, I don't know if you've seen Assassination of Jesse James still, but
yes, I have.
Incredible in that.
I think it's a very good movie. I think I've appreciated I appreciate it as I get older more.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's a masterpiece. That's for me. It's a 5-star movie. I think it's
that
brilliant.
would be
I can
his
understand
best.
why some people wouldn't like it.
That and Benjamin Button, I think, would be his 2 best movies.
That's a good movie. It's a really good movie. And yeah, I remember him actually. That's kind of one I've forgotten about. He was very good in that.
That's as an adult. That was one of the first movies that made me, and I have no shame saying it. I was actually in the cinema bawling.
Really?
Yeah. But it was those two. They'd be 2 of his best movies.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. I'm just looking at his filmography here, and there's nothing really else that's
7. Like he's good. He's
Seven
good in
is 7 is good. But he hams it up in 7.
Yeah, Fight Club as well. I mean, he's good in Fight Club.
He is, but again, it's like that, and then like you look at Excuse me. Excuse me. All the action on this podcast. It's 7 Fight Club and 12 Monkeys feels like the same character in
It
some
does,
ways.
Yeah. You could argue as well, anytime he does like the Southern drawl, it's kind of the same. Like, you know, like in Glorious Bastards, he does it in something else as well.
Oh,
Where he
12
has
Years a
that.
Slave. He was in 12 Years a Slave, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. Yeah, I suppose he can. I don't know. I don't want to call him one-dimensional because he's not. But
it's
yeah, I don't
like
think.
he has, like, say for example, like, because he himself is Southern.
Hmm.
And I think the problem is when he goes back to those characters, because he's been away from it for so long, he can't feel natural in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like Michael Fassbender. That there was a film he was in a while ago where he had to play Irish,
Yeah.
but he had to play like a Dublin like assassin, and you're like, you've been away too long.
Yeah. I love he's incapable of doing accents. Like it's so funny in
But that's
X-Men, you
because
know,
he's
he's
from
Magneto.
Cork.
Yeah. But you know, like Magneto, do you know at the end and he's like, I can feel their guns moving in the water.
Yeah, it's
Do you know?
Yeah.
terrible at accents. I don't know what that is.
That's
Do you ever
because
It's strange.
he grew up in Cork though, didn't he? He's a Corker,
Yeah.
Kerry.
Yeah.
So like, but if you've ever spent any length of time there, even though it's like I'd move there in a heartbeat, you'd be kind of like, you can kind of see why no one can do any accents.
Oh no, hold
Yeah.
on now. Killian Murphy from
Yeah,
Cork. He
but
can
he hasn't lived there in a very long time.
flawless accent though on him. Do you ever
Yeah.
see his original stuff, like when he was in a band in like the 90s and he's been interviewed afterwards? The thickest Cork
Oh,
accent.
the thickest Cork accent on the planet, yeah.
It almost
Yeah,
sounds
do you know,
fake.
like,
Yeah,
no, can't you mean, do you know?
Yeah, Colin Farrell, Irish, very good at accents.
Because he eliminated his accent.
he's very neutral accent now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think he sounds a lot like you, Dill. I think he's got the same kind
I'm
of
like
Dublin accent
I'm
you
like
do.
Colin Farrell on a budget. If anyone ever sees this someone to cast me in anything, I can't act, but I'm like Colin Farrell on a budget. Like if you only have 40 quid to make your movie, I'm breakfast, lunch, and
There's your
dinner.
man.
There's your man over there. Like.
See you calling. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you know?
I think
How do you get
are we nearly running out of time here, are we?
Or 2
No,
minutes.
we're okay. Got about 3 minutes. Yeah.
Because we watched just to keep this part of the conversation going, we were watching Grey's Anatomy, obviously, just because there's so many fucking seasons of it. But there's an Irish doctor in it now, and there was a particular scene with a really appalling wig. And you're like, you don't worry about it, because he's Irish and he's from Dublin, and you're fine. Don't worry, I'm whimsical. Do you know what I mean? Are you meant to believe me?
It wasn't
I
Tom
believe
Brady,
you.
was it? No.
I have no idea who this actor is. I've never seen that in my life, but it was just like you could feel if they could afford Colin Farrell,
They would have.
they would have put him in. But don't get me wrong, I really like his movies. I think hands down you will always be entertained by him as an actor.
He's amazing. I think he's great.
And I think Tigerland is one of the best movies for anyone to have ever broken out in. If you've ever seen Tigerland.
Was Tigerland before Phone Booth?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen Tigerland. Is that Al Pacino as well, is it? No?
No.
Tigerland
Tigerland is.
Tigerland
Who else is in Tigerland?
I actually can't remember.
Yeah, I have it on DVD. I've seen it a few times, and it's kind of, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank here. I can't even remember who else is in it. But it is very good. He's great in it.
Very good movie. But then then he obviously he made some choices and he did some stuff. And then have you seen Triage?
No.
His like I've just gone sober movie. Unbelievable.
Well, I would say
it's not watched enough and not enough people know about it. Unbelievable movie. Brilliant. Absolutely
for
brilliant.
me, in Bruges was the first one I remember watching him in and going, he is amazing. I just love that movie in general.
Less than a minute.
Killing of Sacred Deer, that's a weird movie.
But he's showing look at the Bat and the Lobster. He can do art house. He has range.
Yeah. And then he looked like he was having so much fun playing the Penguin in the Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll see in the show.
Yeah. He was so good in that. You could tell he was just having a blast making that.
Right, we'll wrap it up, Bowie, because we're
Yep.
almost there.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks,
So,
thanks for watching this Colin Farrell rant towards the end of this episode. The worst movie we have ever watched.
All right.
For me, a solid 4.
Serviceable.
Disregard Stalker, forget about it.
Yeah, you let yourself down there.
Right. Sure. Yeah. So next time we'll be talking about what do we have last?
Darkman.
Darkman.